this week's Glanbia Ireland Dairy Focus Vodcast, we'll hear from myself, Maeve Regan, on grassland management tips in current growth conditions. We'll hear from Phelan from the technical advisory team on fertiliser application guidelines, and also hear from members of the Glanbia Ireland Milk Quality team. Although many areas at the end of last week and over the weekend have received forecasted rain, there's still a large variance in growth rates across the region due to ongoing soil moisture deficits. If we look at specific data coming from Pasture Base Ireland over the last 7 days, average growth rates compared to the previous week are down by 10 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day, and that's mainly due to a number of pockets in the Leinster region where growth has fallen or been restricted to below 50 kilos of dry matter per hectare per day. In areas where growth is still exceeding demand, the advice is to constantly have good quality grass ahead of the cows and turning cows constantly into your target pre-grazing height of 1400. However, where that growth rates have slipped due to soil moisture deficits or harsh growing conditions, it's important to act immediately, be proactive instead of reactive, and utilisation is key here during this period, as we can't afford to waste grass when growth rates are declining. Where growth has declined below demand, it's important to walk the farm more regularly to make good, timely decisions. Key decisions can't be made from the yard before being out to assess grass availability on the platform. During these restricted growth periods, it's important to assess pre-grazing target heights and average farm cover. Average farm cover currently should not fall below 500 kilos of dry matter per hectare in any circumstance. On those farms currently experiencing a soil moisture deficit, it's important to hold the rotation at the target of 24 to 25 days and bringing down or decreasing the demand to match the growth rate currently being achieved on the milking platform. Similar to last week's message, the advice here to decrease demand is by bringing back in ground or area previously closed for silage into the grazing platform, reducing or removing surplus stock off the milking platform, increasing concentrate supplementation, or introducing a buffer feed. However, it's important to note that every farm is different and it's important to tailor advice to your specific farm scenario at home. If we look at the typical lactation curve, the average fall or decline in milk output post-peak is approximately 2.5% per week. A decline greater than this often signifies an energy deficit in the cow's diet or where her maintenance and output energy requirements are not being met. It's important to keep this figure in mind currently, as a decline greater than 2.5% per week will have a significant effect on the remainder of the lactation. It's also important to keep this figure in mind at the moment in those areas where the diet of the cow may change due to current soil moisture deficits or ongoing restricted growth. We'll now hear from Phelan from the technical advisory team.
Hi, my name is Phelan from Glanbia, and today I want to speak to you about applying fertiliser for second cut silage, and also where surplus grass may have been baled over the previous weeks or where the intention is to take out surplus bales, that we are reapplying nutrients to support that growth. So while we have seen a welcome return of rain in many areas, it's really important that we're getting out that fertiliser as quick as possible. So trials have shown that where fertiliser application was held off for 8 days after first cut silage, that yield was reduced by 6% for that second cut of silage. So when we're looking at the nutrients required for that second cut of silage at approximately 4 tonnes of dry matter per hectare, it will remove approximately 12 units of phosphorus and 80 units of potash. So we really need to be reapplying those nutrients to maintain that growth and to maintain that soil fertility. So ideally we should be looking at using cattle slurry, and where we have cattle slurry available, 1,000 gallons of good quality cattle slurry will provide approximately 6 units of phosphorus and 30 units of potash. So using between 2,000 and 3,000 gallons of slurry will be enough to support those nutrients required by that second cut of silage. So where slurry isn't available, we need to be applying a quality compound fertiliser to match the nutrients required of the second crop of silage. We should also be applying sulphur with that fertiliser, and sulphur is really important for nitrogen use efficiency. Trials have shown that where sulphur has been applied, yields will increase by approximately 15%. Another important consideration after taking first cut silage is applying lime. Soil pH is really important, and ideally we want our pH to be about 6.3. So when ground is bare, it's a really good opportunity to apply that lime and that lime can also be applied to paddocks that are grazed out. So lastly, I would like to talk to you about offtakes in relation to surplus grass on paddocks. So where we are taking out or intend to take out surplus grass on paddocks in the future, we need to replace those nutrients. So typically where we are taking out 4 bales to the acre, those will remove 6.5 units of phosphorus and 40 units of potash. So ideally we should be looking at applying slurry onto those paddocks. Where slurry isn't available, we need to be putting out a quality compound fertiliser to support the growth. If we do not reapply those nutrients, we will be reducing our soil fertility levels. Typically where soil analysis is carried out on these paddocks, it is seen that they come back as being low in phosphorus and potash.
Now we'll hear from members of the Glanbia Ireland Milk Quality Team.
Coming into the summer months, a milking machine service may be needed if not carried out to date. Liners should be changed at 2,000 milkings or 6 months of age. Temperature bacteria can be an issue in the warmer months as residue may have built up since the start of the year. Places to look for any build-up of residue include the cloth pieces, bends of pipes, hard to clean areas, rubberware and cracked liners. The vacuum line can also be a place where residue can build up. A milking machine technician can advise on how best to rinse and clean the vacuum line. Other tips to remove any residue: good hot wash and descale routine, preferably once to twice a week depending on hard water. Acetic acid can also be used in the final rinse to sterilise the machine. For more tips and advice, please see Glanbia Connect or contact your milk quality manager.
Ensure the milk pipe is taken out of the tank and connected to the wash line. There are 3 cycles involved, and they are the first rinse, main hot wash and final rinse. The volume of water required is 15 litres per unit for both rinses and 10 litres per unit for the wash. The purpose of the first rinse is to remove all milk residues from the plant. Circulation temperature and dump temperature are key in achieving a consistently clean plant. A hot pre-rinse will increase circulation temperature as this will warm up the plant. Allow 3 litres per unit run to waste or when the return pipe is too hot to hold before beginning circulation, and this will help maintain high circulation temperature. The wash cycle should last 8 minutes max and be dumped at 54 degrees or above. A final rinse of 15 litres per unit is required to remove all chemical residues from the plant.
For more information on all topics covered in this week's Glanbia Ireland Dairy Focus Vodcast, contact your local Glanbia representative or log on to glanbiaconnect.com.